What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. So today's video, we're going to be talking about this fuel pressure gauge. Let's just set that right there. Let y'all get a look at it. This is how the front look, and this is how the back look. It's got a little hole right there. Fuel goes through that. So, without further ado, let's get into this video. So this unit right here is used to measure the fuel pressure that's going into the engine. There's a lot of people out here that's new to putting cars together. This may be a person's first build, whatever the case may be. So like I said, stay tuned. I'm gonna give you a little insight on what this is used for and the importance of it. So as I said, it's called a fuel pressure gauge, and it measures the fuel pressure. Conventional engines like small block Chevys, small block Fords, Mopar, like conventional engines, such as, like I said, the small block 350. These engines require between 5, no more than 7 pounds of fuel pressure. So a regulator is required, and the regulator which regulates the pressure, so it can be turned up or down to where it needs to be. So the reason this is important, because you want to know how much fuel pressure you're running, because if you're running too much fuel pressure, what can happen is you're going to get too much fuel into the engine, and what you're going to end up doing is washing the rings. And when you wash those rings, the motor is done. The motor's no good anymore. So what will have to happen is the motor will have to be pulled apart, broken all the way down to probably a short block, and rings gonna have to be replaced. And once you're in there, you may as well just rebuild the entire engine, honestly. So one way to see if you don't have one of these, and if you're looking to find out if you have too much fuel pressure, start the engine, look down the side of the carburetor, and if you see fuel just squirting, running, then you got too much fuel pressure. If the vehicle is running at idle, you should not see anything at all coming out the jets. You shouldn't see any fuel at all if you don't have too much fuel pressure. So that's one way of telling. So as I said, if you see fuel squirting out of the jets, it's fuel, period. Once you look down in the carb bowl, if you see fuel, you got too much fuel pressure, you need to shut it off immediately. You need to go ahead and get you one of these. You need a regulator as well, so you can regulate it. And as I said, if you don't see any fuel squirting once the engine is running at that idle, then you should be good to go, but you're still gonna need this right here as well as a regulator. So if somebody's building a car or something, the person building it, or if somebody's just trying to do it on their own, of course, they should be doing research. So they should know a little bit about this type of stuff. Let's see. Basically, like I said, this thing is pretty easy to install. It can be installed a couple of different ways. It can be installed like onto the carb. It could be installed running off of the carb, somewhere under the hood. Or I've seen people run it to the, I'm not sure what you want to call that area, but a lot of people will set theirs right in front of the windshield of the vehicle so they can constantly watch the fuel pressure. So like I said, it's a few different ways that I've seen it ran, and those are the ways that I've seen it ran. My particular application, I have mine ran under the hood, and like I said, I'm fine with it there. My car is being built as it's just gonna be like a show car, but it's not gonna be one of these show cars that's not driven. Like, I'm gonna drive mine. So like I said, I don't really want the gauges and stuff, showing. Most people that run it so they can see it through the windshield, those are mostly like race cars or something that someone wants to take to the strip and drive on the street as well. So that's that our deal. Um, but when installing these, always use Teflon tape for the threads. So when you thread it in, you won't have any leaks. You must use Teflon tape or you will get a leak. And the last thing you want is a fuel leak somewhere. There's a lot of things that gets hot and you don't want fuel leaking on something like a header or a muffler or some sort of exhaust pipe. There's a lot of other components that get hot. And you got spark as well with engines, so you don't want a wire to get burnt and then it's sparking and then you got fuel leaking. You're gonna have a problem, so you don't want that. So just use some Teflon tape when installing anything when it comes to fuel lines, transmission lines, anything that's gonna have pressure. You want to use Teflon tape to seal it to make sure there's no leaks. So be mindful of that. Like I said, my setup, it's under the hood. I'm running from the carburetor. I got a separate piece of braided fuel line coming to the regulator, and then my gauge is going to be on the end of the regulator. So that's my setup. That's how I'm running it. I'm also using the black braided fuel line, which is just an upgraded version from the stainless steel fuel line. And a lot of people say that it's better than the stainless steel. I think that it's pretty much the same thing. It's just that the black fuel line has the soft texture to it. It almost feel like it's got it's like a soft feeling. So if you just run your hands down it, you won't get nicked by the wires. The only thing that you can get nicked by on that is the end where it's cut at. You can get nicked by that. But I think that's the only difference between the two of the stainless steel braided fuel line and the black braided fuel line. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but like I said, you let other car guys talk about it, they swear by this black fuel line. I mean, honestly, I love the look of it a lot better. I mean, it looks really nice. It looks really clean. One thing that I kind of don't like is that I have stainless steel like dipstick, transmission stick. That's the stainless steel. It's like a silver looking color or whatnot. Then my transmission lines are stainless steel, the silver, and then I have the fuel line as the black. So I'm kind of trying to tie everything in to like coordinate with the black and the silver. I have a piece of stainless steel fuel line on the carburetor, so that's the silver. So I'm kind of trying to coordinate it like the black and the silver. Since I had to use it that way, I had to buy it that way because the dipstick and the transmission dipstick, they all just come in the same stainless steel silver. They don't come black. Now I may could have like painted it to match, but I really didn't want to do all of that. So I think it looks good under the hood though. So far, trying to keep it looking nice, trying to keep everything complementing each other so it just won't look, crazy under there. Just trying to keep things looking nice under the hood. One of the things that I wanted to say is that when I do the install, I'll probably do a step-by-step install on this. So for people that's new to this or someone that just may have a build that's already completed and they need to change this and they don't want to take it to a shop, because most shops are super booked right now anyway. So they don't want to take it to a shop and have to wait or whatever the case may be. It's something quick. They may want to do it themselves. It's pretty easy to do. Like I said, just make sure you have Teflon tape. You can pretty much buy Teflon tape anywhere, hardware stores and stuff like that. Like I said, just pick up some Teflon tape before you do the install. Make sure you thread the threads with some Teflon tape to be sure that you to be sure that there's no leaks. Um, like I said, that's very important to have this Teflon tape because, like I said, you don't want any leaks. And I keep going over that because once you install it, you know, it's nothing to uninstall it to redo it. But you don't want this thing on, driving a car, and then you got a leak somewhere. Like I said, you just don't want that because, like I said, most people that's building cars, they put money in it, some more than others. So, you know, you don't want this thing to catch fire, and then all your hard-earned money that you spent in the car is gone down the drain. So, like I said, by all means, you know, use a Teflon tape. Pressure test it if you can. If not, you know, once you install it, like I said, um, you know, you can pressure test it a couple different ways, but if you don't have the proper tools to do it with, you can at least, once it's installed, you can turn the key, allow the fuel pump to start kicking fuel, and therefore you can see, you know, if you're having any leaks. Um, and you also can start the vehicle, and of course the fuel's gonna run, and you also can see if you're having a leak there. You're gonna see it immediately if you're having a leaks, because like I said, once fuel start kicking through the line, you're gonna see if there's a leak, you know, within seconds of the vehicle being on or seconds of the vehicle being pressure tested. Like if you're just kicking the pump on. In my setup, I have an electric fuel pump, um, and so um, it's kicking more fuel up than the typical mechanical pump or whatnot. So like I said, with my setup, like I said, I'll know immediately. But any way that you do it, like I said, if you really just kind of new to this, just start the vehicle, let it idle, and make sure you look down in that bowl and make sure that you're not having a lot of fuel running at idle. Because if you do, then you need to regulate the pressure. So once you see that if your pressure's at a good setting, then you can go ahead and, like I said, you know, check for leaks and make sure everything's not leaking. Like I said, you shouldn't have no more than 7 pounds on a conventional engine. So if everything's good, nothing's leaking, and you got no more than 7 pounds, then you're good to go. You shouldn't be under 5 pounds. So between 5 and 7, and you should be good to go. Any questions? Drop a comment down below, and y'all stay tuned for more videos to come.